On this episode, Chris built a deck that's less suitable for punchlines, but it still copies things.
And my deck's Nalia gonna let you get away with it.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Okay.
My name's Taylor.
Hi, I'm Chris, and welcome to episode 10
We made it!
of Commander Roll Reversal.
It's like a roller coaster that keeps going up.
It's the wave. Okay,
We just promised we wouldn't do
Oh,
that.
yeah. That's right. Sorry about all the shadows, folks. But Commander Roll Reversal, we are a YouTube channel that builds decks, swaps them. We play those decks, then we talk about it on YouTube, like I just said.
The internet. And that is you. So please remember to like, subscribe, and share with a friend or an enemy, because if you don't, I won't talk for the rest of the episode.
Oh, that'll be a really boring episode with... No, you got to share now because I can't keep this going for very long. No, please, quick, hit the like button, the share button.
Who cast silence?
Wow. All right. Well, let's jump into it. I don't even know if we really had a winner this time. We were kind of getting the beat down from... Yeah. But we had a couple of cool decks. Taylor, do you want to jump in and talk about yours first?
I would love to, because they weren't just cool decks. They were Baldur's Gate's decks.
Yes, they were.
Again. And in this episode, I believe I got to play as Dynaheir, Invoker Adept, which is one generic blue, red, white for a legendary creature human wizard with haste. That reads, you may activate abilities of other creatures you control as though those creatures had haste, and then tap when you next activate an ability this turn by spending 4 or more mana to activate it. Copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. Dynaheir is a 4/4.
Not another copy, Commander.
No.
Was this one any good?
I love this one.
Oh,
This is my favorite
all
one so
right.
far.
Oh, good.
You knew that, buddy. It wasn't Grixis.
That's the real problem. Yeah.
No, this one was a lot of fun. I was interested to see how you would build around it, because that's a deck restriction that I haven't necessarily thought of before. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many people care about more expensive activated abilities?
That's the thing. You've already played the card, and now you've got this huge activated ability on the field. Like, how much mana are you going to spend on this one card, right? But
It turns out a lot. We'll get to that in the play experience. But
right.
What are we going to spend that mana on? Well, one of them is a great creature. Did work in this deck. It was Willbreaker, which is 3 generic blue for a creature human wizard that reads, whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes the target of a spell or ability you control, gain control of that creature for as long as you control Willbreaker. Willbreaker is a 2/3. Now, I was scratching my head a little bit when I first drew this card, and then I realized this deck doesn't just care about activated cost 4 or more.
No, it does
It
not.
also is a 1,000-year elixir.
It is, yeah, 1,000-year elixir on a body. So we went with the Tim deck.
Oh, I
It was
excited.
50% Tim, 50% Wombo combo.
Put it all together, and that's a Wombo Tombo?
I think squared.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, like, you put a lot of those pinger abilities in here. I mean, you had the Prodigal Sorcerer, the Pyromancer, there was another fairy, so that was evasion too. But critical mass of the 1 ping damage effect, I think it's fair to say. So
Yeah, pretty much any of them that could target a player or a creature.
seems good.
Yeah.
Especially when paired with Willbreaker, the synergy card being highlighted here, because it turns out 1 damage isn't usually going to kill whatever you're pinging, but
necessarily.
with Willbreaker out, it certainly does let you take it.
Just steal that creature.
This is mine now. That's what that felt like.
Yeah, and it's funny because all the like a lot of those pingers are like 2 or 3 mana. So you've got your commander out, you play it, it has haste, you just ping it and like
I own this now.
straight from, at least until you have Willbreaker.
Was this deck called No Takesy Backy? It's just indefinitely, right?
Until Willbreaker goes away. So Willbreaker
but I wasn't
becomes
going
the
to let
target.
that happen.
Right?
No, okay. What paired very well with Willbreaker and all of those pingers, however, was Drum Bellower, which is 2 and a white for a creature spirit with flying. It reads, untap all creatures you control during each other player's untap step. Drum Bellower is a 2/1. So This kind of feels like Seedborn Muse's baby brother that was printed in Kamigawa.
Yeah, it's
the new precon, actually.
Kind of like a slightly less good Seedborn Muse.
So a fair Seedborn
Muse. Right. Well, it's in white, so it's got to be fair.
Okay.
You know that much. But it does work when you're trying to tap and untap creatures a lot. So
yeah, and I mean, I know that the dream is having like Drumbellower, Willbreaker, and all of your Tims online. But even if it's just Tims, like having that incremental ping damage because you had so many of those creatures in here, like it's not insignificant. I mean, a lot of big threats usually have like 3, 4. That's a sweet spot in Commander as far as toughness goes.
Sure.
So even if you're, just able to untap 4 every turn and take out 1 target on the board, seems good.
Yeah, absolutely. Like those are a lot of like the sort of mid-range creatures. It's not going to take out your, the big stompy boys, but it'll take out all the mana dorks, a lot of tokens and things of that nature. So it really helps control the board, or just dome your opponent for
white control. Are you the control player?
Oh no, I'm the control player. Actually, you were playing the deck. So.
Oh, okay. Wait a second.
I built this one for you, buddy.
Well, good news. This wasn't just an Azorius deck. There was also some red, and thank goodness, because we were able to play Battle Mage's Bracers for 2 in a red. Nice. Artifact equipment. Equipped creature has haste. Whenever an ability of equipped creature is activated, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay 1. If you do copy that ability, you may choose new targets for that copy, equipped to. So I'm starting to notice a theme here.
Yeah.
And we're going to copy the copy. We're going to copy the ability that's copying the original spell.
Woof. Can you do that?
Apparently. I did it multiple times to great effect, actually.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
Really cool to see.
Yeah. I don't know how many, and I'm sure if there are other versions of this effect, you probably considered it for this deck, but this is the first time I've seen anything like that, and I loved it.
Yeah, Battle Mage's Bracers is really cool. You obviously don't need the haste, but I wanted the redundancy. Illusionist Bracers is the other one that's in the deck. It's basically the 2 mana 2 equip version that just doesn't give the creature haste. So just for redundancy, having them both, both in there. But yeah, I didn't even know that was legal.
No.
That's a legal play pattern.
It is. I'm glad, because I was able to do some, nuts thing, especially where we were talking about how a lot of times the difficulty with these copy commanders is just like the mana sink.
Right.
Especially when you have, these already expensive activated costs because of the way that you built this deck. I mean, anything that lets me get more value out of that trigger to copy something, I'm going to include, because the 1 ends up being minimal in this case.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you're definitely getting more than 1 mana worth if you're copying Dynaheir's ability. Yeah, that's very true.
There was a lot, and you may be able to guess this, but my favorite thing to copy with that ability was Chaos Wand. Which was a lovely artifact that you included in here. Chaos Wand is 3 generic for an artifact with an ability that reads pay for and tap. Target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then put the exiled cards that weren't cast this way on the bottom of that library in a random order. So what I'm reading from that is with Battle Mage's Bracers equipped to Dynaheir, activating Chaos Wand, I'm going to have 3 resolutions of that ability.
5 mana for 3 kind of random instants or sorceries.
Yeah. I love this. Like, I'm a Chaos player at heart. So just kind of playing the lottery. It does feel like playing the lottery because you get 3 tries. Especially if you're looking for a blasphemous act, but I digress.
If only there wasn't a Stacks player playing Stacks pieces from a Stacks deck that he or she or they did not build.
That's a lot of a lot of fancy words to say that I'm the problem here, but thank you.
We really needed that blasphemous act too.
Turns out if you want to cast 3 spells with Chaos Wand, don't play Chaos Wand into a deafening silence and forget that you did that.
Yeah, it does count as your 1 non-creature. Very sad.
Speaking of other non-creatures, wrapping up here for my favorite synergy piece. I'm not surprised that you found a way to, break this deck, and it turns out it was Magistrate Scepter, which is another nifty 3-drop artifact. So 3 generic for an artifact that reads pay for and tap, put a charge counter on Magistrate Scepter, tap, remove 3 charge counters from Magistrate Scepter, take an extra turn after this one.
You have to put 3 charge. That's so slow. You have 3 charge counters?
If only I could put 3 with a single activation and then take a turn. Well, I enjoyed the back and forth we had about this during our games because we were trying to figure out at a point whether or not you could, in the same turn, put the charge counters on and then take an extra turn indefinitely. But
like just infinite turns, but you do need something to untap the wand or the scepter.
Yeah, which you did have a few of those.
For sure. Yeah. It's like a 4-card combo for infinite turns. I think that's pretty fair.
Seems fair. Yeah. And that's without Proliferate. We're good. But no, it was a great card. I have tried to, I'll admit it, run it in other decks that are actually just doing it one turn at a time, and it's never actually resolved. So it was cool being able to successfly use this ability for the first time.
Yeah, you were taking 2 turns.
Every other turn.
Every other. Yep.
That was cool. But
really hard to keep track of how many turns were in that game too. I don't even know what you do. There's an asterisk on those stats.
Yeah, asterisk, abacus, all the A words. But that wraps it up for my cards for this section. Chris, how about you? What were you playing?
Well, I was not lying to you when I brought up this commander that I got to play some games with this week. Nalia. Dynaheir, 1, a white and a black for a legendary creature, human rogue. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard spells from the top of your library. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have a full party, that's 1 of each creature type listed, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Those creatures gain death touch until the end of turn, and Nalia is a 3/3. So, really, they're trying to bring party back.
It sounds like it was a party.
I had a good time.
Okay, I did too. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely a party. But you went more of a mostly cleric tribal.
I specifically didn't build it as a party deck.
No, that was good. Yeah, that was good. I'm not sure if that's the way to go yet, the party deck, but we'll talk more about that in the breakdown. This was more of a cleric tribal with some of the other warriors, rogues, wizards kind of mixed in.
And a smattering, you might say.
Well said. One of the clerics that was in the deck that I thought was awesome, since there was a little bit of a life gain sub-theme, was Vito, Thorn of the Dusk Rose. For 2 and a black, a legendary creature, vampire cleric. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. 3, a black and a black. Creatures you control gain lifelink until the end of turn. It's a 1/3. So Vito is a sanguine bond, right?
On a body
that
3-drop
gives. Yeah, it's only a 3-drop. It's a creature. It gives your creatures lifelink. What does Vito not do?
Stay alive.
Pretty big target.
He's gone.
Yeah, but pretty cool, like incremental value. There was a little bit of like soul sisters happening in this deck. So anytime a creature, like, you had to pay life, essentially like your opponent, my opponents had to pay life to play any creatures, which was really fun. Just kind of like, okay, you're taking damage. Okay, you're taking a damage.
I figured you'd be right at home with these ping effects. I was very reminiscent of the Conrad days.
Oh yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Just on the battlefield instead of in the graveyard. Yeah, that's true.
As all things should be in Magic the Gathering. We don't deal with that graveyard nonsense.
Yeah, who plays graveyard decks anyway?
Rip.
Well, anyway, let's move on to another cleric that was in the deck. This one's a banger. Aura, Skyclave Hierophant. 2, a white and a black for a legendary creature, core cleric with lifelink. Whenever Aura, Skyclave Hierophant, or another cleric you control dies, return target cleric card with lesser mana value from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's a 3/3. Yeah. Another Orzhov legendary cleric seems really, really good. Like, it allows for a little bit of aristocrats, but more so like the recursion, right? It kind of just like protects your board a little bit better. And I think that Aura is a good cleric tribal commander in their own right, but fits right into this deck too.
Yeah, admittedly, he's a little bit of carryover from when the original version of the build was being put together, and that was going full party theme. So I was like, how do I try to get like as much recursion out of these different creature types as possible?
Interesting.
Just to make sure that I'm maintaining the party at all times.
Yeah, sure.
Something that brings back your clerics was helpful in that case. But it turns out it's just really good when you also care about clerics.
Yeah.
Exclusively.
Everything's a cleric.
Yeah. I found religion this episode.
Another one of the Soul Sisters that I actually wasn't familiar with was maybe should have, when writing the outline, switched these around. That would have been a better segue. Hello, we have Auroch Champion, a white and a white for a creature human cleric with protection from black and red, which is amazing.
I love that.
Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you may gain 1 life. It's a 1/1, so it's like the Soul's Attendant, Soul, the Soul Sisters, but on a 2-drop that has protection, which is
it's the Soul Brother.
The Soul Brother.
That really hates red and black. Sign me up.
Yeah, I'm right there. Like, what are the colors that are most likely to kill Auroch Champion? I mean, probably red and black are up there.
Swords to Plowshares.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, he doesn't live through that one.
No, he doesn't.
But when you've got Auroch on the field, it's a cleric. You can cast it from the top of your library, just like all the other synergy and card advantage that we'll get to here. But there were other Soul Sisters in here, but I thought this one was really cool.
Yeah.
Soul Brother.
Thanks, man. I found it building this deck, so now you know.
If you didn't know, now you know. Well, we've got another cleric. Wait, this one's not a cleric. This is Crib Swap for 2 and a white, a tribal instant shapeshifter. Oh, with Changeling. I see. Okay. Exile target creature. Its controller creates a 1/1 colorless shapeshifter creature token with Changeling.
It made my EDH career that you played this off the top of your deck.
That was my favorite play of the whole
so
thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I get it.
We need removal. Just wait,
I got
guys.
you, Sam. That's what that was.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, you can play Changelings off the top of your library with Nalia, and so Crib Swap is a pretty good removal spell, in general. It only hits creatures, but it does exile, which is good. I think that's part of the upside there. When you have cards like Generous Gift these days that destroy any non-land or any permanent rather. Maybe that's like it brings the 3-drop instant speed removal down a little bit, but I think the exiling, and then in this deck it just has the synergy, right?
Yeah, I think it really only makes sense to play into a deck that cares about the tribal aspect of it. Because if you're in white, why not just run Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile, all those other pieces. But it was also the idea being if you are running this and embracing it as a full party deck in a pinch, you have a way to give yourself a Changeling token.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Just nuke one of your own dudes.
Yep.
Oh, cool. Yeah. All right.
Now it's a party. Again.
We're back, baby. All right. I had one more cleric on the list that I wanted to highlight today, and this cleric goes by the name of Mirror Entity.
Speaking of
2 and a white for a creature shapeshifter with Changeling. This card is every creature type. Pay X until the end of turn. Creatures you control have base power and toughness XX and gain all creature types. It's a 1/1. Yeah, so this was just another way to highlight. You can use Changelings, but I think Mirror Entity is maybe one of the best Changelings. I was looking for the card recommendations. I was trying to find other Changelings that were, and there are some good ones, don't get me wrong, but Mirror Entity just can really, it really does a lot of work just being a 3-drop that can pump your whole team, right?
Yep. Yeah, that was the thought. Pump the whole team if you do need to just win the old-fashioned way and just beat face. I did have a couple of cards that were like Toxic Deluge-esque effects in this deck, so one way to kind of make it more of a one-sided board wipe is just pump all of your creatures with the X ability, and then they survive. Everything else gets wiped out. So versatility is the name of the game if you're running Snowlands. Dead of Winter.
Dead of Winter. Okay, good. We'll get to that one. Okay.
Oh, did I just? Oh no! Did I just? I skipped that.
Perfect segue, Taylor, into questionable cards.
Was that actually one of your questionable cards?
That's one of them. Yeah.
Oh, incredible!
But I'll throw it back.
All right. Well, yeah.
A little foreshadowing there.
Ooh. Is it chilly in here?
I'm not going to go there.
No.
So, but Taylor, were there any cards in yours? Maybe we should go back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, questionable cards. I did have a few for you.
Nice.
One of them was the coolest goblin I've ever seen, and his name was Goblin Welder. For red, he's a creature, goblin, artificer. He has tap. Choose target artifact a player controls and target artifact card in that player's graveyard. If both targets are still legal as this ability resolves, That player simultaneously sacrifices the artifact and returns the artifact card to the battlefield. Goblin Welder is a 1/1. What?
Yeah.
What kind of like reverse Uno shenanigans are you up to with this?
Goblin Welder, yeah, it's a really cool card. It basically has that sort of kind of the same thing as Living Death, where you kind of just do it at the same time, right?
Gotcha.
Well, no, different than Living Death because you exile the cards. Let's just skip. Yeah, but you do. You just swap a artifact from the battlefield, so you could target somebody's treasure token.
Yeah.
Or you target your own treasure token and like bring something back.
Get back like your Blightsteel.
Yeah, right. Actually, Blightsteel shuffles, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, it was fun while it lasted.
But some big, silly, scary artifact, and that was really just the idea. There were a great number of artifacts with a huge mana value that you could either just get into your graveyard and then recur with it, or if it gets blown up, just a way to bring it back. There was a high enough concentration of artifacts where I thought that it would work in a pinch. I don't remember if there were any specific combos with it, but I think it was really just there.
Me.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there might have been some. Yeah, there maybe.
I saw that planner bridge.
Imagine getting 2 permanents to the battlefield.
Surprise Pikachu. That's what that was. Okay. I don't know.
I picked up on it.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, the other card that just made no sense to me. No, that's not it. I just... No, it was a good card. But Isochron Scepter. So it's 2 generic artifact imprint. When Isochron Scepter enters the battlefield, you may exile an instant card with mana value 2 or less from your hand. You may pay 2 and tap. Copy the exiled card. If you may copy the exiled card. If you do, you may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. So there were only 6 legal instants in the deck, and the ability can't be copied by Dynaheir. So did you just really want to like get your mystical tutor on a on an Isochron Scepter?
Oh, yeah.
Was that the plan?
Well, I thought I was going to get out of being the filthy combo player with Goblin Welder, but we're back. It was for the ISO reversal combo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just for infinite mana. There's again enough artifact like mana rocks, and there was just a lot of big spells. So imagine putting your entire library onto the battlefield with Planner Bridge.
I will continue to imagine that because it doesn't sound real.
Yeah, it was really just for the ISO rev. There was also Muddle the Mixture was in the deck, which is a counter spell, a blue and a blue counter target instant or sorcery spell, but it has transmute, so you can discard it and search for either Isochron Scepter or Dramatic Reversal. It's a classic.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it was just a big mana deck, and I just wanted to have a way to,
the toolkit.
Yeah, exactly, to not get locked out and have to pay, not be able to play some of the cards in the deck.
Well, don't worry. There was plenty of mana when I drew every single Signet in the deck, but that's a tale for another time.
Yeah, it's an achievement.
What about you, Chris? I did kind of steal your thunder a little bit, or your snow squall, rather. So what have you got for me?
Yeah, well, we talked about it, but let's we'll read the card this time. We'll start with Dead of Winter. 2 and a black for a sorcery. All non-snow creatures get -X until the end of turn, where X is the number of snow permanents you control. This is from Modern Horizons, right?
Yes, it was.
Yep, when they did the snow cycle back then. Yeah, good times.
I love snow. As a subtype, I was thrilled when Kaldheim brought it back. Modern Horizons brought it back. Before then, it was, I think, just
Ice Age, I think.
And Cold Snap, maybe?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just
so it's
very
cool.
limited.
Plus, they're really pretty lands. I don't know.
They do look nice.
Yeah.
But Dead of Winter is just a board wipe just for playing Snowlands, right? That was the whole thing, and it definitely wiped the whole board when I played it. It had no problem as long as you've got that snow mana base.
Yeah,
it's doing Toxic Deluge style without having to pay life into it.
Exactly, and so you're not losing that life that you've worked so hard to gain with all those clerics. And yeah, I mean, don't be surprised if it receives a frosty reception from the other players in the pod, but I wasn't mad to be wiped by it.
Yeah, you love to see it.
Until after the game.
Lost to that Dead of Winter.
Snap.
There was another black card in here that I had never seen before, which worked out really well in my favor. In one of the games that we played, the card I wanted to ask you about is Twilight's Call.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Twilight's Call, 4 a black and a black for a sorcery. You may cast Twilight's Call as though it had flash if you pay 2 generic more to cast it. but each player returns all creature cards from their graveyard to the battlefield. It's like a mass reanimate for everybody.
I kept waiting for you to read more, and then that was just it. That's the text.
That's it. Yeah.
Everybody gets it.
So, you do have to be careful. You have to be able to like exile your opponent's graveyards or just ensure that they don't have creatures in there. But in this case, it worked out really well for me because I think there was like one other creature in a graveyard other than mine. So basically 6 mana, just bring my team back.
I was going to say, I don't recall that being an issue for you.
No. No.
Yeah. And was that after you had wiped some of your own things with Dead of Winter?
It was, wasn't it?
Incredible.
Yeah. God, talk about like, that's the play pattern right there though, isn't it?
We figured it out.
Yeah. I mean, it's 9 mana in total, but
yeah.
Oh, you know what? Actually, it might have been when I was double blocking some big guys coming in, gaining some life off the life link, and
but the potential's always there.
Oh yeah, gosh, you can do it any way you want.
Good stuff.
All right. Well, those were the 2 that I had questions on. I think it's time to get on to the best part of the episode.
Suggestion. Now, don't hate me for the suggestion, Chris.
Okay.
But especially after all the hype. But this one's for all my Jank players out there.
Love it.
Imagine a world where you're running Suppression Field, which is 1 and a white, an enchantment that reads activated abilities cost 2 more to activate unless they're mana abilities.
Cool.
I feel like
that's
if
cool.
I were building this deck, I would have a really tough time. Like, I would go to suggest a card or put a card in and then find that it is just shy of that 4 mana cost activated ability. I don't know if that was your experience when you were building it, but
yeah, definitely like just searching for like what are those ones with the big activations. Yeah, but there's so many more with only 2 or 3.
Exactly. Yeah. So I feel like this would definitely, cool. It's kind of a joke, but not. Yeah. If you build around this, like you're stacking your opponents, and then 2, you have the mana base, you're prepared for this, and now you're going to be able to double things that no god or man intended to be doubled.
So, not with Dynaheir.
Yeah.
And it's all activated abilities, right?
Yeah.
So planeswalkers cost 2 mana to like tick up your loyalty.
I don't know how we get a planeswalker ability to cost 4. I guess maybe a sculpting steel.
Oh, nice.
Once you've used Liquimetal Torque on your suppression field, and then you have 2.
Okay, talk about jank, but we did get there.
No, but in all seriousness, like one of the cards that I was sure was going to be in this, and then I saw that it was only a 3 activation cost, was Omnispell Adept, which is 4 and a blue for creature human wizard with an ability that reads pay 2 blue and tap. You may cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. Omnispell Adept is a 3/4.
Nice.
So that's just one example of like if you are building into it, that it's a pretty powerful effect to copy potentially 3 times.
Yeah. That's cool. It's like Suppression Field's your secret commander in this deck.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So then it would make sense to do your Enlightened Tutor ISO combo. Because we're a dirty combo player. Sadly, though, even with Suppression Field, it doesn't quite work for things like Karn, Silver Golem, which is a 5 generic legendary artifact creature golem that reads whenever Karn, Silver Golem blocks or becomes blocked, it gets -4/+4 until end of turn. There is pay 1, target activated ability, target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact creature with power and toughness, each equal to its mana value until end of turn. Karn's a 4/4. So didn't quite get there with that one. But, hey, if we had the 2, like we were kind of like theorizing there, it would work.
That's 2 sad trombones in this episode.
I know. And 1 sad Chris. Thanks, you're a good sport, Chris. I like how you've just gotten like progressively less to say each time.
I don't even know what to say at this point.
That's fair.
Karn's ability is only 1 to activate. I don't even know.
3 with the suppression field.
Okay.
Moving along and away from the jank recommendations just for a little bit. This one I did recommend because I saw that you had another card, and we'll save it for the gameplay experience that I'm not sure works the way that you think it would with Dynaheir.
Oh, okay.
Keeping that little tidbit in the back of your mind, I'd recommend Chromatic Orrery for this deck. It's a 7-cost legendary artifact that reads: you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color. You may tap, add 5 colorless mana, or you may pay 5, tap, draw a card for each color among permanents you control. I think that makes sense in a few decks, not every deck that can run it, but this one where you are in the Jeskai color combination, so you could potentially draw 3, right?
5 for 3 is
5 for 3 copied, so 5 for 6.
6 cards. Now we're above right?
Yeah,
like it
seems pretty good.
Yeah.
Plus, it also helps you with the fixing aspect.
Yeah.
Because you are in the 3 colors.
Yeah.
So
I think Chromatic Ori is a really cool card. It is like it's that big mana investment in the beginning, but like you said, if you're doubling the activated ability, and you're really taking advantage of the card draw too.
Yep.
Cool. Really cool.
Yeah, so just something to consider there. It's a big splashy mythic. We all love those.
Yeah.
But it does pair.
Commander's all about.
It is.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that playing against you. Cold up? No. Big splashy 1-drop or Yawgmoth. He's a 4-drop.
Oh yeah.
This card would pair well with a card like Chromatic Ori, though, if you were running it. So, Muzio, Visionary Architect, which is 1 generic blue for a legendary creature, Human Artificer. He has an activated ability of pay 3 and a blue, tap. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the highest mana value among artifacts you control.
Nice.
You may put an artifact card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order.
Wow.
Muzio is a 1/3. So obviously that's the dream if you have a 7-drop Chromatic Ori out there. I know that you have other expensive artifacts in this deck.
There was a huge concentration of artifacts.
So it's kind of just like, it would be good if it was just the look, like the dig for your artifact, get it to hand, but this is look that deep and then put any artifact, regardless of mana value, onto the battlefield.
Yeah, so you get something with even more mana value than what you put into it.
Do it twice. Do it 3 times.
Yeah. If you're set up for it, that's really cool. How much is the activated ability?
It's 4 exactly. So 3 generic, 1 blue, and tap.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I tried to stick with the 4 mana activated exactly, just because it seems like the sweet spot with it being an expensive activated cost anyway.
Yeah. Well done, sir. That was a good find.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Scryfall.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored yet. Moving along, just a couple more creatures. Similar vein with that. Plarg, Dean of Chaos. 1 in a red, legendary creature, Orc Shaman. Tap, discard a card, draw a card. Or pay 4 in a red and tap Plarg to reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-legendary, non-land card with mana value 3 or less.
Nice.
You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put all revealed cards not cast this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. Plarg is a 2/2. We won't care about the other side right now. It is a Dean from Strixhaven, a vested Dean of Orders on the back, but another episode.
Okay.
I think that even in your deck as is, this would make sense because you only had 15 cards that didn't meet the mana value.
Sure. Yeah.
And it has that built-in like disregard land, so you don't really have a chance to whiff with this, which I really like.
Yeah. Yeah, there's really good odds there. You're right. Yeah, and I think like 3 mana value is really great for that type of ability, right? It's really, you're not going to get something that's overpowered, but for 5 mana, look as deep as you need to put a 3 mana value onto the field.
Twice.
Don't forget, you're doing it twice.
Because Commander.
At least 2 times.
Yeah. Secret Commander.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, anything, you might be noticing a theme, anything that allowed to cheat on cards and spells.
That's illegal.
We like that.
What a cheater.
Yeah. Oh. Anyway.
Only in the best way.
Bringing it home with the coolest Jeskai creature I never knew existed. Soulfire Grandmaster, which is 1 and a white for a creature human monk with lifelink. Instant and sorcery spells you control have lifelink. And then it has an activated ability of 2. Is it hybrid? Is it hybrid? The next time you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand this turn, put that card into your hand instead of into your graveyard as it resolves. It's a 2/2.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Was that hybrid mana?
It is a hybrid mana. Yeah,
Oh,
I probably said that incorrect. So it's
No, you did.
Okay. Are you just messing with me?
Is it hybrid mana?
Is it? Okay. So I think if you wanted to build a certain type of deck, this would be a card to consider. Like if you're building a storm deck that is using using the commander, that's when that could be a relevant ability to maybe copy that.
Sure.
Copy that and return multiple spells to your hand at once.
Right.
And get that additional value, especially where it has lifelink built into all of your instant and sorceries.
Yeah.
This feels like a shoe-in for a Dynaheir Aetherflux Storm deck. So just another ability that you might not initially consider copying, but in the right deck would love this.
Yeah, that's really cool. I hadn't heard of that card either. I think it is a different deck. It's a Spellslinger deck when you're going that route, but that would be a great include if that's what you were going for, because Jeskai is a great color combination for Storm, for Spellslinger, for all of those things.
Eat your heart out, Whirlwind of Thought.
Right. So just having like enough of those, it's like a creature in your non-creature deck if you're doing Spellslinger, right? But having those types of creatures or permanents where you can sink the mana into the activated ability to get the extra copies and everything.
Yeah, that was the plan.
Well done.
Oh, thank you. But enough about me yammering on. What are some things that would make this deck go absolutely bonkers? This being the deck that you Role Reversal, the show where we swap.
We still get confused every time we talk
what
about
episode is this? Help.
What am I? I do have some suggested cards, though, that I wanted to share with you in this party deck, this deck of parties, this cleric tribal deck.
Not a party deck.
I'm going to bring the party with a card called Diviner's Wand. 3 mana for a tribal artifact wizard equipment. Equipped creature has, whenever you draw a card, this creature gets +1/+1 and gains flying until the end of turn, and pay 4, draw a card. Whenever a wizard creature enters the battlefield, you may attach Diviner's Wand to it. It has equip 3, and believe it counts as a wizard spell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what you're thinking.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I really was trying to find those tribal, like what we were talking about with Crib Swap, the tribal cards, and there are a few of them. There was a cycle of them in Lorwyn,
I think
the Lorwyn block, which I think is where this card came from. But I thought this was the best of them. I mean, you're going to draw a card every turn, so just giving your clerics flying was kind of the idea.
I like that a lot.
You can cast it from the top of your library, if you need to, but really just it seems like a decent equipment. It's 6 mana. It's a 6 mana investment, but it has the tribal type. So I thought.
Plus the fact that as you play a wizard, you can attach it for free. Like that's not insignificant.
Yeah.
With the critical mass of those.
Yeah. I think there were a couple wizards. And if you were going more of the party theme, this might be a card to include in there. Or the changelings. Again, you could attach it to a changeling when it enters the battlefield.
I like that a lot. Yeah, I think I had Cloak and Dagger, which was the rogue version of it. In this deck, and I was only because I wanted to run that instead of Swiftfoot Boots.
Nice,
because it was like an on theme. Shroud.
Yeah, it's like the tribal version.
Yeah, that you can cast from the top of your deck. Such a flex. I love doing that. So cool.
Yeah, they're like not the optimized cards for the deck, but they're just fun and flavorful, and they fit the theme. And sometimes that's what you want to be building, I think.
That's all we do here. Fit the theme.
Well, here's a powerful cleric. Mangara the Diplomat, 3 and a white for a legendary creature, human cleric with lifelink. Whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you and or planeswalkers you control, draw a card. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, draw a card. It's a 2/4.
I'm not computing. You gave me a white card that draws cards?
Yeah, it actually draws a lot of cards. I can't even
say that. White's getting pretty good at drawing cards. Meme is dying.
Yeah. Have you seen some of these Baldur's Gate spoilers?
Yes, I have.
I've played Mangara in white X decks and non-blue decks, I guess, really, where the key to Commander, especially mid to late game, is casting more than one spell in a turn. So if your opponents are doing that, you're also getting an advantage. That's why I love this card.
It's like it's a good version of like fair tax.
Yeah,
I feel like because it's not denying resources, which is what those pesky opponents hate, but it's giving you value for them being greedy.
Yeah, totally. It's not a Ristic study or anything like that. There's no option. And it's not even a May ability, so I guess you could technically deck yourself, which probably isn't going to happen.
With Mangara, achievement unlocked. Yeah.
But so you don't even have to ask; you just draw the card. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, which you're
attacking me with 2 creatures. Go on.
What shall I draw for this attack step? Cool card, Mangara. That's the other version.
And lifelink.
lifelink.
And lifelink.
And cleric.
Yeah. And big booty?
Yeah, 3-4 or 2-4 rather. Yeah.
He's doing squats.
He's definitely been doing squats since he was exiling permits from the battlefield.
Only in your deck. It was in here. Don't think I didn't notice.
Actually, kind of looks like he's doing a squat.
It does.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Wow. Look at the card art. Yeah. Incredible. All right. Another cleric. This one's a cat.
Okay.
We're going, we're not doing cat tribal, but we are doing cleric tribal with alms collector for 3 and a white with flash. If an opponent would draw 2 or more cards, instead you and that player each draw a card. It's a 3/4.
Perfect.
Incredible.
No reason to get up all in alms about it.
2 for 2.
Oh
man.
my gosh. It was a 2/2?
No, sorry, it's a 3/4.
Oh,
yeah,
I would have done 3 and 4.
Darn it. If only we knew. So this is kind of like the fair version of Notion Thief or Narset or Hull Breacher, I guess, banned in Commander famously. Alms Collector, you can cast it at flash speed. You can draw cards. I actually got this one back when I bought the Cat Precon. Remember when I used to play Cat Tribal back in the day?
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, that's where I pulled that card. I just had it sitting around. I was like, oh, that's a good home for it, seems.
Yeah, I would put that in there.
Yeah.
I like drawing cards when other people get greedy. I'm liking the synergy between the suggestions.
See? Yeah, we're going all in on the white stacks for drawing.
It's like he knew me.
Speaking of overpowered stacks pieces,
Oh boy.
Aethersworn Canonist. 1 and a white for an artifact creature human cleric. Each player who has cast a non-artifact spell this turn can't cast additional non-artifact spells. 2/2. So either Aethersworn Canonist, it does tax you as well, so it slows you down to only casting 1 spell per turn. But I think this is, I don't know if it's underrated. I just don't see it a lot. Maybe it's because it's a little bit more expensive. I just think 1 and a white for this type of effect. If you're not playing against the Artifact Storm deck, this card's going to slow other your opponents down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's another stacks piece that I feel like I want to run, but I'm always too afraid to run because it's probably going to hurt me just as much as it hurts other people.
Yeah.
But especially in a deck that cares about assembling a party, that's kind of a difficult thing to do, because they can't just all be the one creature type. They have to have 5 unique creatures, or 4.
4, I guess.
4 for each party.
Yep.
Anything that buys you time to get some kind of parity with the board seems good. I like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. I was thinking about, when I was looking through the clerics, I was thinking about which ones would Taylor maybe like to see. And it was tax. Oh, here's one with extort. Pontiff of Blight for a black and a black. Yeah, Pontiff of Blight is a creature zombie cleric with extort. Whenever you cast a spell, you may pay either a white or a black. If you do, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain that much life. But other creatures you control also have extort.
No.
And if I'm reading the rules text, if a creature has multiple instances of extort, each triggers separately. It's a 2/7.
Wow.
So there was a life gain theme in this deck.
That's amazing. I want that card.
Yeah. I like Pontiff of Blight. It's for a black and a black, but if it sticks around,
that's gonna ping real quick.
Yeah, if you've got any type of board, you can
especially veto.
Oh yeah. There's the combo. That's awesome.
The wombo number 5. The French evil laugh is out, so that's how I know it was a good suggestion.
Yeah. Pontiff of Blight, I think, is a really good card in any black deck, really. Anything that is going to have creatures on the battlefield. Extort, it's only 1 mana, and I mean, you usually have like 1 mana or more. Maybe you're playing that late game Soul Ring, and it's still a good card, but maybe not as good. And now you're like, I'm going to extort, and gain all that life, and extort
Soul Ring
is...
won you the game. For different reasons.
Yeah, not a turn 1 Soul Ring.
No.
Turn 10 Soul Ring.
That's your Gary.
Goes in every deck. And it is, you gain that much life too, so it's important to know every extort, you're gaining 3 life.
Oh my god, that is a finisher. That's legitimately a finisher.
Yeah, really. Yeah. So Vito's shooting for 3. Well, I guess he's shooting for 3 because you're gaining that much life.
Yeah,
so it's not 3 instances of 1.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Something had to balance that out.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Nice. Those were the suggestions that I wanted to make for this deck. It was really, really cool. So, I don't know, a few more clerics for your cleric tribal, I guess.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Next time, rogue tribal.
Ooh, sweet.
Yeah, mill theme.
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
But I think that brings us to
play experience, right?
Play experience. Oh, yeah, we played the game.
We did play games,
yes.
with these cards. Yep.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on running the new Baldur's Gate Legends? Like, this is the second time we've done this exercise now, and I feel like, I mean, personally, I think that they've nailed it so far.
So far, I think it's really tough to build a set like this because they're having to build it in, a way that caters to like a draft environment, right? So certain things can't be like too overpowered, right? But at the same time, they've got some bangers. There's so many new commanders. Like we were looking through them today, thinking about future episodes, and I think this is going to be an awesome set. I'm really, really excited for this.
That's a fair assessment. I mean, I think I get excited for sets, especially like the Legend sets or anything that isn't a standard set, because it's less about like the power level for me and more the fact that you can clearly tell that they're doing wacky abilities and things and bringing back mechanics from like other sets to give maybe some other things like adventure another chance to shine. Like, I really love that this is the avenue for Wizards to do that, and from what I've seen so far, like, I wouldn't expect any of the commanders that we played to be like in a standard set.
That's the thing, right? When you're balancing for standard, you're balancing for an entirely different experience. Like, none of these cards will be legal in standard, so you can push the envelope a little bit more.
I will say I like this copy commander better, I think. Maybe it's just because it's my color bias here, but
no black.
Yeah, no black. But also I just feel like even though it was similarly restrictive in kind of how you need to build around the deck, comparing this to Zevlor.
Right. Fair.
I feel like this had more to show for the deck building hurdles so far. Yeah. And just like being able to tap Chaos Wand, which is already a fun card, and do it 3 times. Yeah. That was really cool. Like, I've never done that anywhere else in my Commander experience, so that was really fun.
Yeah, 3 activations at once. Like, where else are you going to be able to do that? It's like not possible. And I think that's that's the Timmy way to, there's the Tim way and there's the Timmy way. There's the Timmy way to build it with like the big, mana sinks and things like that you want to be doing. And then there's the activated abilities. So there's a couple of different ways, and I don't think that Dynaheir, I don't think that you can do either or both, right? You could go all in on the activated abilities and just have the biggest splashiest plays, or you could go on the other creatures that you want to just be able to activate straight away, right?
That's so true.
And just get more value, like it's more of like a value engine than like a big splashy kind of play.
It's true, and I love seeing how the community will like theory craft around these types of unique abilities, and that actually brings me back to the point that I had mentioned with the chromatic orrery suggestion. Because already there's been a discourse online about like what exactly can this commander copy, what can it copy. You had a card in here, Cascading Cataracts, which is a land indestructible, tap, add colorless, pay 5, tap, add 5 mana, and any combination of colors.
Oh, that doesn't work?
It doesn't work.
Oh, no. I was like, that's the best land for this deck.
Yeah, you weren't alone in thinking that. Like, it ends up being a Nambo Wombo. But, Jess Dunks, I guess, who's a rules manager at WotC on Twitter, had said mana abilities can't be copied. Card is missing the exception clause for mana abilities in the trigger condition.
So that's going to be an Oracle, I guess?
It's errata on
errata.
Yeah. So, but like, just the fact that Wizards is continuing to create commanders that like are challenging the rules of an established game with like how many commanders are there now, and we're still finding new ways to break the rules, which is cool.
And then they're like, oh, that shouldn't work that way. And they have to go back. I mean, that's the thing with a legacy format, right? Like that's another difference with like the design space. So yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't seen that errata. That would have been really so recent. Good.
Oh, it would have been. Yeah, it would have been. Because I went to suggest it, and it wasn't until I went and I was looking over my suggested cards for this episode that I saw that was a recent kind of discourse that had happened. Okay. So,
well, maybe you just want mana of different colors. It's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe when you've stolen a creature with Willbreaker, it has an activated ability, and you need to be able to make mana of that color.
Incredible.
You can still put it in there. It's indestructible.
Yeah, it's still worth it.
Yeah.
Animate it while you're at it. But yeah, I mean, as far as your experience goes, though,
I think what's interesting about Nalia is a rogue.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask, like, would you have built it as the party tribal, or would you have tried to, like, kind of go in a more focused approach?
Mm-hmm. I think that the cleric tribal is probably the optimal way to build the deck, even though Nalia is a rogue. I was thinking about this. Maybe you build a non-rogue party deck. You could do warriors, wizards, and clerics. Because you always have the rogue in your command zone.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a way to go. It's still like a little bit clunky probably because you have to draw the right creature types and all of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what Maskwood Nexus is for, right?
I love it. That card is getting some mileage the past 2 episodes. Full disclaimer, though, like when this deck was built at the time, the full deck list for the now it's a party commander precon has not yet been spoiled.
Sure.
So 15 new cards. I'm sure there is going to be some pretty extensive party support that gets printed in that, which might reevaluate or make you reevaluate how this deck is built. But
that was actually something that I was thinking about, that like, is party viable? Is that a viable archetype, to build? I think that, maybe you're right. Maybe in this precon we'll see that critical mass of creatures, because if you remember in Zendikar Rising, when they first introduced the party mechanic, there were a couple of creatures that were printed. Green got most of them. Go figure. But there was one Stonework Pack Beast, which is a 2 generic mana for an artifact creature beast. Stonework Pack Beast is also a cleric, rogue, warrior, and a wizard. And then it's a great infinite mana sink because it's 2 generic, add 1 mana of any color. It's a 2/1. So maybe more cards like that count as more than one creature type, even if it's like, I don't know, it gets a little bit weird, but you could have maybe a warrior wizard, like a battle mage, like maybe that's a thing, or or like a rogue wizard, I guess. I don't know. There might be some ways, like especially within like the D&D.
I feel like they had experimented a little bit with that with like AFR and in some of their creature typings. Like I saw like human elf cleric, and that was how they were doing like half elf as they represented it in Magic. So I'm sure there's space for that. It's just going to come down to how many characters they can fit in the text box. But I mean, there were really cool are really cool party cards that exist, like Coveted Search or something like that. It's the tutor card. Yeah. And that was in the original version of the deck.
That could be 1 mana, couldn't it? If you have a full party, 1 mana tutor.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's huge payoff. Yeah.
So I feel like the way that you have to build it is it needs to be a creature heavy deck, otherwise you're never getting the party. And then the creatures, to be able to like reliably cast enough to maybe get to the full party consistently, they would have to be lower mana values, like 1 drops, 2 drops. And then how do you win the game with that? Like Cather's Crusade, maybe Akroma's Will.
Yeah, because it is very much a creature-focused deck at that point. There's a lot of hoops to jump through to get there. I think that the payoff with Nalia is pretty good. Especially if you are going Cather's Crusade and +1/+1 counters, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Death Touch is good for attacking. People like don't. It's only
don't touch me.
It's a 2/2 because it's a 1/1 with a counter and it has Death Touch. So you're probably going to get in there, but it's just really hard to assemble a party now.
I guess it's not a party. Now.
Not yet.
Sad. But it is time to spoil our commanders for next episode.
It is time to spoil our commanders for the next episode.
Spoiler alert. It's more Baldur's Gate.
We're going.
We love them.
We do. Oh my God. We're going full Baldur's Gate for a minute here.
And you're going first, I think, with this suggestion because I had one.
Yes, you did.
Let's do it.
All right. I will dive right in with my commander that I chose from the recently spoiled Baldur's Gate commanders. the commander that I will be building for you, Taylor, is Jan Jansen. Awesome name.
It's a cool name.
So cool.
What?
It gets better, actually. Jan Jansen, Chaos Crafter.
Oh, incredible.
A red, a white, and a black. So a Mardu for a legendary creature, Gnome Artificer with haste. Sacrifice an artifact. Tap, sacrifice an artifact creature, create 2 treasure tokens. Or the other activated ability is tap, sacrifice a non-creature artifact, create 2 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature tokens. It's a 3/3.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I love how the gnomes in
Yeah.
these D&D sets are artificers.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty cool.
What's this commander's name?
Jan Jansen, Chaos Crafter.
I'm shipping Jan Jansen and Oswald. Best friends.
Oh my gosh, Oswald goes right in this deck.
Heck yes.
Did
I just... Not again.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'd like to preview another card. It's a little boring, but I wanted to preview this one because I think it's just kind of gives you an idea of what we're trying to do with the deck. And the card that I'd like to highlight is Loyal Apprentice. It's a classic 1 in a red for a creature, Human Artificer with haste. Also has a keyword Lieutenant.
Oh, okay, this one.
At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. That token gains haste until the end of turn. It's a 2/1. Yeah, so the idea is just keep the train going. Just flood the board with artifacts.
Keep the gears going.
Keep the gears
turning. Not going. We got there.
Yeah,
together.
Yep. That was definitely a group effort.
2 halves of one witty remark. I'm the remark.
No, I'm Mark.
You're Chris. Oh
Hi, Mark.
God.
All right. Taylor, are you building a commander deck for me to play next week?
Not anymore.
Well, it was a good run while it lasted.
10 episodes. I absolutely am, Chris. And it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be Renari, Merchant of Marvels, which is 3 and a blue for legendary creature Dragon Artificer.
Oh, cool.
We don't plan this.
No.
We don't plan this. Stop saying we planned this. No. You may cast dragon spells and artifact spells as though they had flash.
Oh, that's awesome.
Choose a background. You can have a background as a second commander. Renari is a 2/4. So my showcase card is actually going to be the background.
Oh,
that
no
I've chosen
way.
this.
Cool.
Yeah. So I guess this is my understanding is this is like partner, but for specifically this set.
Yeah.
And they're not partner creatures. It's partner, but with an enchantment.
Legendary enchantments, right? I think that's such a cool way to go. It really, like, partner can be a little bit overpowered, right? But like when you kind of constrain those a little bit, it gets pretty cool.
I saw a comment on some forum that said that the flavor wise, they liked that it was like from a D&D perspective. Essentially, you have the one commander, and then you're kind of picking their RPG background.
Nice,
which
like
I'm
you're
sure
building
building
a character for D&D. Wow, really well done.
That flavor, though.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, your flavor, your background.
The background.
Should you choose to accept it, you don't have a choice.
I don't.
Noble Heritage, which is 1 and a white for a legendary enchantment background that reads, Commander creatures you own have, when this creature enters the battlefield and at the beginning of your upkeep, each player may put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature they control. For each opponent who does, you gain protection from that player until your next turn.
Oh, wow.
What?
That's cool. Really cool politics, right?
Yeah. A political dragon artificer?
Oh, dragon, tribal. And Azorius?
Yeah.
We're going Azorius dragons?
Azorius, dragon, politics.
Politics. Whoa.
Game of Thrones.
It's kind of like... Yeah. Nice.
We did it.
I don't know how Azorius that show was, but... I also don't want to dragon down the conversation with that remark, Taylor.
I just want to like stop talking and then just see how long you go. Like, is that the new thing? No, it's okay. That was very noble of you, Chris, to Marvel Cinematic.
Oh, I did it again. Sorry about the shadows. We need better. If anybody knows a lighting technician that will work for $0,
don't call them.
Yeah, they probably don't want our job.
Like, leave them alone. They're hardworking people. We're done.